The moon hung in the ink-black sky, casting an eerie glow over the desolate landscape. Richard Avery, a seasoned security guard, had taken the night shift at the abandoned Arkham Asylum. It was a building with a dark history that whispered through the rustling leaves and creaking corridors. The chilling wind carried the distant howls of wolves, amplifying the sense of isolation that enveloped the asylum. Richard, clad in his worn-out uniform, paced the hallway, the beam of his flashlight dancing across the peeling paint and decaying walls. As the clock struck midnight, strange noises began to echo through the building. Footsteps barely audible seemed to materialize from the shadows. Richard dismissed them as mere products of an overactive imagination, a side effect of working the night shift for too long. His radio crackled to life, startling him. "Richard, this is Control. Anything unusual to report?" "Just the usual creaks and groans," Richard replied, his voice a gruff whisper. "All right, keep an eye out. There have been reports of strange occurrences during the night shift." Richard chuckled nervously, attributing the warnings to a mix of local superstitions and a history steeped in madness. However, as the night wore on, the asylum unveiled its malevolent secrets. The flickering lights cast long, dancing shadows that seemed to slither along the corridor walls. Richard's flashlight caught glimpses of twisted faces in the peeling paint, tormenting him with fleeting visions of tortured souls. Curiosity battled fear within him, urging him to explore the asylum's darkest corners. As he descended into the bowels of the building, the air grew colder, and an oppressive darkness enveloped him. A whisper echoed through the halls, barely audible but dripping with malice. He entered the old electroshock therapy room, its rusted equipment casting eerie silhouettes on the damp walls. Richard's breath quickened as he felt an otherworldly presence, an unseen force that seemed to reach into the depths of his soul. Suddenly the lights flickered and died, plunging him into total darkness. Panic set in as the whispers grew louder, forming a dissonant chorus of tortured souls. Richard fumbled for his flashlight, heart pounding, and when the light pierced the darkness again, he was not alone. Figures, translucent and twisted, hovered in the air, the ghostly remnants of patients who had succumbed to the asylum's macabre treatments. Their eyes, empty sockets filled with a spectral glow, bore into Richard's very essence. Unable to tear his gaze away, Richard stumbled backward. The air became heavy with despair as the ghosts advanced, their moans and wails resonating through the asylum's decaying corridors. In his attempt to escape, Richard stumbled upon an old, forgotten cell. The heavy door creaked open, revealing a pitch-black void within. An inexplicable force pulled him toward it, and as he crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut behind him. Trapped in the suffocating darkness, Richard's senses heightened. Whispers swirled around him, forming chilling narratives of the asylum's tormented past. He saw visions of unethical experiments, sadistic treatments, and the anguished faces of those who had suffered within these walls. A ghastly figure emerged from the shadows, Dr. Nathaniel Arkham, the asylum's notorious founder. His eyes, burning with an otherworldly intensity, bore into Richard's soul. The ghostly doctor extended a spectral hand, revealing a hidden truth etched in the fabric of the asylum's history. The asylum had served as a breeding ground for unspeakable horrors, a place where the boundaries between this world and the next blurred. The tortured spirits sought retribution, their restless souls tethered to the decaying structure. Driven by an unseen force, Richard became a conduit for the spirit's pain and suffering. Visions of the asylum's atrocities flashed before his eyes, each revelation tearing at his sanity. The line between the living and the dead blurred, and Richard found himself entwined in the spectral tapestry of Arkham Asylum. As the night wore on, the malevolent force within the asylum intensified. The ghostly inhabitants became more corporeal, their anguish materializing in ghastly forms. Richard, now a vessel for the asylum's dark history, moved through the haunted corridors, compelled to uncover the truth. The clock struck 3 a.m., a notorious hour when the supernatural forces peaked. Richard stumbled upon a hidden chamber, concealed beneath layers of dust and decay. Within, an ancient ritual had been performed, binding the tortured souls to the asylum's very foundation. A flickering candle illuminated the room, revealing a sinister altar adorned with arcane symbols. The whispers crescendoed into anguished screams as the ghosts converged, their spectral forms merging into a maelstrom of pain and despair. In a trance-like state, Richard approached the altar, compelled by an unseen hand. The room pulsated with an otherworldly energy as the ritual reached its zenith. Shadows writhed, and the air crackled with malevolence. As the clock struck 3:33 a.m., a portal to the abyss opened, casting an unholy light upon the chamber. Richard, now a conduit for the spirit's vengeance, felt an overwhelming force pulling him into the abyss. The asylum itself seemed to writhe in agony as the boundary between the living and the dead unraveled. In the final moments, Richard glimpsed the spectral figures, their eyes pleading for release from the eternal torment. The portal swallowed him whole, sealing the asylum's unholy pact with the supernatural. The next morning the sun rose over Arkham Asylum, casting a deceptive warmth upon its weathered facade. The night shift guard was nowhere to be found, leaving behind an empty uniform and a radio crackling with static. As the first rays of sunlight touched the asylum's crumbling walls, the whispers of the tormented souls faded into the morning breeze. The secrets of Arkham Asylum remained buried within its haunted halls, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to uncover the horrors that lurked in the abyssal watch of the night.